Today I'm going to be breaking down Fly Girl by FLO featuring Missy Elliott, where I'm going to be talking you through the various things that I'm picking up on as we go through it. Before we go ahead and get into the video, if you have a track or an artist that you would like me to check out, pop it into the comments. Also, if you like new music and you want to hear more of it, go ahead and check out my main channel, Pure Urban Music, link in the description below. 100% of the royalties go directly back to the artist. So if you want to get involved, you want to show your support, then yeah, go ahead and check that out. Let's get it.
Let's go. If you a fly girl, get your nails done, get a pedicure, get your hair did. See you telling me I'm pretty, but it's obvious. I don't need a man to tell me where the party is. If you a fly girl, get your nails done, get a pedicure, get your hair did. See you telling me I'm pretty, but it's obvious. I don't need a man to tell me where the party is. Checklist ticket.
Okay, right, so opening thoughts, as I always do. So firstly, really like the references to Missy Elliott's original track, Work It, right? So we get the first one in the intro, so we get right, which we all know is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It doesn't really mean anything, but it's effective, right? It was effective then and it's effective now. It's just obviously got a bit more of a modern day feel, which, you know, is the right thing to do, and it's a nice touch. We get the vinyl scratch, which again was another prominent thing in the original Missy Elliott track. But what they've done here, they've used it in a really clever way, right, to actually transition us out of the intro into the chorus. And then the third reference here are the lyrics themselves within the chorus, right? So if you're a fly girl, get your hair did, get your nails done, or whichever way around it is, I can't remember. But that again, you know, that comes from the original track by Missy Elliott. So some really good references there. Going back to the intro, just very quickly, really like the keys that they use there. It's got a real kind of old school Victorian vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like I can literally imagine some guy in like a white curly wig just sitting there, man, in the studio, just playing them, right? And they stand out to me because, you know, it's not something that I hear that often, those types of keys, especially in modern day music. So the fact that they've put them in here and they've got it so that it works definitely is a kind of a standout item, in at least for my ear anyway. Couple more things in terms of the chorus. So I really like the way that they harmonize, especially in the later part of the chorus, some of those back end phrases, but also on some of them, they're just harmonizing and layering just the key words. So like fly girl, hair did, nails done. And that's just a real nice touch to kind of add something extra to these vocals. And then the final thing within the chorus that I really like is the way that we actually get a shift in the keys that I spoke about earlier. So in the intro, the keys are kind of playing longer notes, right? But when we shift over to the chorus, they're short, sharp, punchy. We get much more of a dun, 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 like short, sharp, punchy, just kind of notes. And that's good because it matches the beat. I'm going to take it back. Not all the way to the beginning, just a few, just one, so that we can get back into the flow of the track, but also try and pick up on just some of those elements.
Telling me I'm pretty, but it's obvious. I don't need a man to tell me where the party is.
Short, sharp keys, listen.
Get your nails done,
Harmonies.
get your hair did. Telling me I'm pretty, but it's obvious. I don't need a man to tell me where the party is. Checklist, tick it off, what you got? Pricey, so you better have a fly.
Okay, nice beat stop there, just really quickly. So you hear we get the transition, right? We get the vinyl scratch. And what I was actually expecting is for us to go just directly into the beat when we get into this first verse. But they don't give us that. What we get is this kind of short kind of beat drop, right? And then the beat comes in. And that's good because it's shift, it's change, and we need that within a track, as I've spoken about many times before. But also it's just a nice bit of ear candy. I'll take that back just so you can listen to that. Right, it's coming up.
Checklist, tick it off, what you got? Pricey,
Now
so
the
you
beat's
better
back
have
in.
a fly. A timepiece, send it on TikTok. TikTok. If you can't afford my time, then just watch. Untouchable, ready to, available, but not for you. Too sexy, way too fly. You get none of
More harmonies there as well.
Tonight, you ain't part of them. Cause my girls are like, yeah, we all attend. No, it's ladies' night, shout to all of them. Put your ones up in the sky.
Okay, right, so pay attention to what they did there with the pre-chorus, right? So they actually stripped the beat out, right, completely. There was no kick, there was no snare. But what we had was, obviously, you know, the kind of fundamental instruments in there, so keys. But what we also had is these clicks, right? And that's something that I haven't noticed in any part of the track at all prior to that. And that's actually a good way, because clearly they don't want to keep the snare in there, but to kind of give it some sort of kind of rhythm or rhythmic pattern, they've just put the clicks in there, right? Now, cutting that beat out, you know, does a couple of things. It gives us a shift and a change, so it lets us know as the listener, whether you're, you know, kind of paying attention or not, that something's going to happen. But another thing that it does is that when the transition happens and the beat comes back in on the chorus, obviously the chorus is going to be big, it's going to be full anyway. It just makes that drop even more impactful, right? Let me take it back, because it's not too far back. I just want you to listen to how that gets cut, and then the impact that it has on the chorus when everything else comes back in again.
You too sexy, way too fly. You get none of my. I got plans tonight, you ain't part of them. Cause my girls are like, yeah, we all attend. No, it's ladies' night, shout to all of them. Put your ones up in the sky. Get your nails done, get a pedicure, get your hair did. See you telling me I'm pretty, but it's obvious. I don't need a man to tell me where the party is. You a fly girl, get your nails done, get a pedicure, get your hair did. See you telling me I'm pretty, but it's obvious. I don't need a man to tell me where the party is. Oh, babe, I leave you waiting all day. Cause all this material things are not enough to make me stay. You can handle all this, nana. Talk about I ain't hearing nada.
Okay, right, so there's something, right, this is actually really, really, really clever. Not the first track to ever have done it, but it's really clever anyway, because you don't, again, it's something that you don't hear a lot, right? But before I get onto that, absolutely loving the attitude. And I don't know what it is, I didn't notice the attitude that were coming through in the delivery of the lyrics before. But I'm noticing it here, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I think the reason why I'm noticing it, which brings me on to the point that I wanted to make, is if you listen to what they've done here, they've almost created a bridge within the second verse, right? Because when we drop into the second verse, it doesn't sound like any other part of the song at all that we've heard already, right? And really, that's what a bridge is. It's something that is nothing like the rest of the track. Only it's not a bridge because it's happening within the second verse. So real good and clever piece of production there, just within that, to kind of, again, create not just a minor change, but actually quite a big change within the track to then bring it back to what we're used to hearing. Again, let me just take it back one or two. Just pay attention to that shift, because it's a big one, right? So you should be able to hear it very clearly.
Coming up.
Completely different. Attitude, man.
It says I really wanna hold me down. I got plans tonight, you ain't part of them. Cause my girls are like, yeah, we all attend. No, it's ladies night, shout to all of them. Put your ones up in the sky if you want.
Okay, right, very quickly, pay attention to the pre-chorus here, right? Slightly different to the pre-chorus we had originally. Just, you know, as a reminder, original pre-chorus, beat was cut, we get these clicks, right? But actually what we've got here is the kick drum plays a more integral part in this pre-chorus than what it did previously. I'm going to take it back, right? Just listen, you get dun, 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 and then it goes dun, 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 and we get into the transition, right? Just pay attention to that. It's coming up.
It says I really wanna hold me down. I got plans tonight, you ain't part of them. Cause my girls are like, yeah, we are.
Drum again.
No, it's ladies.
Again.
Shout to all of them. Put your ones up in the sky. If you want fly. Get your night, girl. Get a pedicure. Get your hair. You're telling me I'm pretty, but it's obvious. I don't need a man to make one. I don't need a man. Get your nails done. Get a pedicure. Get your hair. You're telling me I'm pretty, but it's
How big that chorus is, man.
Tell me what the party is.
If you a fly gal, get your nails done, get a pedicure, get your hair fixed.
All my ladies gon' get an outfit and buy a new lace wig. Back up on the market, better put in you a bid. Cause when Missy throw a party, you can't find nowhere to sit. Booty, booty everywhere. I make all the dudes throw their money in the air. Me and all my girls, yeah, we
Love
looking
Missy
better
Elliott, man.
Ooh, stop the track, strike a pose, stop and stare. Wait, make it shake. All that cake, let it bake. I know you wanna see my body in a vase. Don't I still look like Halle Berry in her face?
Missy and FLO, we came to ride. We don't even need a guy to tell us we fly. When the party get the poppin',
Nice
you know
switch
we
up in
decide.
rhythm as well.
Ones up in the sky. Let's go. Get your nails.
Okay, right. Do you know what? You know that Missy Elliott part, that segment, I could literally spend probably half an hour easily just breaking that down. There is so much going on in that, but I'm going to try and keep to some key elements here. So before I get into the Missy Elliott part, because I know I'm going to lose my kind of train of thought, right? But I actually really like the way they extended that, right, at the back end there with almost like an a cappella like kind of vocal harmony, right, from FLO. If you listen to that, right, what should have happened is it should have just cut off. Or, yeah, it should have cut off, and where it would then normally transition us into the chorus. But they didn't do that. It cut off, and they just extended it a little bit with those vocal harmonies. So that's a real nice touch. Right, getting on to the Missy Elliott thing. So Missy Elliott has literally just taken us back to the 90s, kind of early 2000s. Right, now, anybody watching this who was kind of, you know, like hearing a lot of stuff for the first time back then, you'll know what I'm talking about here. So what they used to do quite a lot in hip hop and R&B, right, is they used to kind of have these complete just kind of drops and switches up, switches up or switch ups in songs, right, where it would be like you're now just listening to a completely different track altogether. Right, I'm not talking like a bridge like we had in the first verse. I'm talking like all together. And that's exactly what she done there. Now, that's good because we get that old school vibe. But what's really good about it as well is they didn't drag it out for too long. And then they were very smart, very clever in the way that they began to kind of build us back up again to the track that we've been listening to up to when that kind of drop happened. So yeah, absolutely loved that part of the track. Excellent and clever production around that, and obviously Missy Elliott, you know, she's a legend.
Get a pedicure, get your hair done. See you telling me I'm pretty, but you're telling me I don't need a man to tell me what the party is. Get your nails done, get a pedicure, get your hair done. See you telling me I'm pretty, but it's obvious. I don't need a man to tell me what the party is. Why we got 'em so pressed?
Nice outro now. Yeah, there's that part again, bro.
FLO, I like that.
Okay, so some final thoughts on the track. Couple of things here. So the first one is, you know, pretty much said it in the video, but I really like the references that they made to Missy Elliott's original track, Work It, both in the intro, both in the chorus, and you know, especially, you know, that kind of vinyl scratch that was very prominent within that track. It was a standout thing, and I think they've done a really good job of integrating it within this track without making it too much like the original, and kind of giving this track room to kind of be its own piece by itself. So yeah, love the references, and really, you know, an outstanding job in still kind of making it sound original. The second thing for me was the continuous shifts and changes that we had within the track. Obviously I can't cover them all off because, like I've said it before, we'll be here all day otherwise, but things were constantly shifting and changing within the track. you know, once we get out of the first chorus and we go into the first verse, we get that short kind of beat cut, right, which I told you already that I wasn't expecting, and then we get the beat and boom, 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 that goes on. When we go into the second verse, we almost get like this kind of bridge, right? I mean, you know, if you didn't know it was a second verse, you could easily mistake that as for a bridge, and that's excellent piece of production work there. And then what they were doing on the pre-chorus as well, you know, where they were kind of cutting the beat out, meaning again shift and change, but also giving the chorus much more of an impact when that actually hits. And then the final thing for me was that complete sort of like, you know, 90s 2000 drop that happened when Missy Elliott's part came in. Oh, and actually, one more thing was how they just kind of extended it so that you could kind of get that a cappella type kind of vocal harmonies in there at the end. Production-wise, absolutely, it's top-notch, first class. It's just spot on. And the third and final thing for me is the outro. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong, as a song, as a vibe, I think they got a really good track on their hands here. And like I say, I'm not normally a massive fan of boy groups or girl groups. But I do think that they've got a good song. But in terms of the outro, the reason why that stood out to me is because look, they could have chosen to just cut it off. They could have chosen to just kind of fade us out. But instead what they did is actually just see us out with a whole bunch of ad-libs, layered vocals, vocal riffs, vocal runs, and just all of this sort of, and that's really good to have, especially when there's a group of you, right? Why not extend you know, the impact and the power of those vocals and that whole feel good vibe and likability factor that comes with it? Why not extend that and see us out with it rather than just going bop, dead? Do you know what I mean? Cutting you off, right? Or just kind of giving us a simple fade out. So I really liked that they did that with the outro to just kind of, you know, keep that going. Okay, that's it from me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.